Hello, my name is Jordan Grafing and I'm doing a presentation over how Nintendo saved an industry and led its future. During the 1980s, in the beginning half, there was a general lack of interest in video games after the 70s. There was way too many games coming out for way too many consoles, and there wasn't enough quality games. Some games that people attribute to the crash of 1983 are E.T. and Pac-Man. The gaming industry, it collapsed for about a year in America. The industry lost about $1 billion and everybody just lost faith in games. In 1985, Nintendo saw that there was a growing PC market in America. General appeal for electronics was still good, but they did not like video games. They saw this as an opportunity to break into the market, which was virtually untapped. So what they did was they released the Nintendo NES to markets in October of 1985, and they bundled it with a robot toy. The reason they bundled it with a toy was that video games was a taboo word. Nobody wanted to buy video games, but people were willing to buy a toy. So by packaging it with a robot toy called Rob the Robot, they were able to advertise to kids in the toy aisle and not in the video game section. This resulted in crazy success for the Nintendo because people wanted the Rob, but they were successful in implanting the Nintendo in all the households across America. From that point on, they wanted to sell video games. What they did to encourage people to buy video games again was they started to put a seal of approval on all of their games. This seal of approval meant that the games were going to function and that they were an actual game and weren't fake, just cash grabs. They wanted to keep this momentum going. They didn't want to just stop with the NES. So what they decided to do was they decided to make a Game Boy. The Game Boy is a mobile platform that would capture the audiences of people who were too busy to work or were too busy to play because of work or traveled the trains a lot so they could play on the downtime. They packaged it with a puzzle game called Tetris that it captured all of the types of gamers. It captured young people and old people alike because it was so simple to play. Because of their strong marketing with the Game Boy, it resulted in over 100 million sales and is their second best-selling product line as far as mobile. They wanted to follow up the success of the Game Boy, but they weren't entirely sure how. So what they decided to do was they decided to double down on the market that was casual. They wanted to make sure that they could get as many people as possible. So they decided to release the DS line. The DS was basically a Game Boy with a second screen allowing for more functionality and a touchpad. The touchpad allowed for anybody to do it because anybody can use a pencil. So it helped capture an older audience as well as a younger audience. This went on to become the second best-selling console of all time and sold over 140 million units. They wanted to capture the success of the mobile line in the home market, but they were having some issues. They weren't targeting to the casuals like they were with the mobile lines. So they decided to follow that approach and they released the Nintendo Wii in 2006. The Nintendo Wii released to widespread appeal because of the motion controls. Anybody could play it, even old people, young people, people with disabilities. It appealed to everybody. And it's credited to creating the casual market that we see today with the mobile gaming market on cell phones. In conclusion, the marketing that Nintendo used in the 80s revitalized an industry that was essentially dead. And America is the largest purchaser of video games. So the industry basically revolves around America. The kids that grew up playing games eventually grew too old to have time to play games, so they followed up by targeting to casuals who didn't have time to play games. They evolved as a company and their marketing evolved with them. It's hard to imagine what the world would be like without video games right now, considering there's over 1 billion users who play video games online daily. And it's basically an equalizer similar to sports, how sports is across all borders and anybody can play a sport, anybody can play a game without having to know the same language. And this wouldn't have been possible without Nintendo.